What's up, people? We're back here again. So this weekend, I really want to do the tanks. I'll actually show you inside these in a minute, but they're just covered in rust on the inside. I wouldn't really be that bothered because they're original paint on these original tanks, and I kind of like them, but it's just the whole inside. There's just surface rust and then quite big chunks of rust. So I've been doing a little bit of research online, and what it's told me to come up with is filling it with distilled white vinegar and then filling bicarb of soda. A couple of people said leave this in for 24 to 48 hours and then obviously rinse with this, which like neutralizes the acid. And then some people said just spraying like a little bit of WD-40 or something inside just stops that surface rust coming back again. So I'm going to get on with that. I actually changed the spark plugs in this. I put these Champion spark plugs in there. It had NGK ones in originally, but they're just like cheap tut really. So I'm just gonna get these cleared out and then I'll give it a little run. Hopefully it'll be running sweet. I mean, it was idling perfect before, but I just don't want the jets in the carb to get blocked with all that that rust floating around in there. And I've changed the heel toe shifter. Hopefully, once that's all done, I'll be able to get on a ride on it this weekend and I'll be able to film that. I need to grab some parts as well. I'm going to go up to Crazy Horse. I'll probably have to go Newmarket Harley to get a new battery for it. And I really want to get rid of these bars and get rid of the indicators. I've got big plans for this bike, but originally I was going to try and do it all this winter, but just because it took so long for this swap to go through, I'm just going to kind of get it like running and riding cool, and I'll change some little bits out here and there. I've got a new seat for it and stuff, like rather than this big ugly one. But I'm just going to do little bits and then just get riding it for a bit. And then if I get time, you know, before the spring and summer hits, I'll just do bits like when I can. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll bring you guys along for the difficult couple of hours with me just going through everything and trying to battle getting these tanks off myself and not dropping them. So hope you guys enjoy it. See you guys in a bit. All right, I've undone the center console on there now, and I've just pulled the fuel plug and just draining it from the petcock there. This is just literally the first bit of fuel that's came out there, and you can see how much rust is just in this bit. That's like just the initial bit that was just sat in the petcock, so we'll see what's in the bottom of this that comes out. I think we're going to get some big chunks out of here. Pretty gross. All right, so far so good. Haven't made too much of a mess, but this is a bit I'm worried about, is undoing that crossover fuel line that goes from the two split tanks. I've obviously got to take off the right side because obviously the left side has a petcock on there, so it's really easy to drain the fuel. The right side doesn't, and there's still, I just looked in the cap and there's still a lot of fuel in there. So I'm going to take over this crossover feed out, and hopefully I won't make such a mess, but this is a bit I'm most worried about doing on my own. Yeah, what if I just cut it here and I can drain it easier, right? All right, change of plan. It's actually not really coming out there, it's pretty wedged in. My mate Jay actually told me that they should have a right angle straight off of the tank, just so it stops your fuel line just sitting straight on the rocker boxes like this is. So I'm going to have to change the fuel line anyway, so I think I'm just going to cut it, and then it'll be easy to kind of like guide where the fuel goes so I don't make such a mess. So if I just kind of cut it and then just kind of aim it into the bucket. But yeah, wish me luck. All right, so the crossover tubes have been removed now. I'm just going to take out the fuel line that runs from the carb into the back of the petcock. There's probably going to be a bit of fuel that comes out of that. Once that's done, the tank should be ready to remove now. There's still going to be a little bit of excess of fuel in there as well, so I have to try and be careful to undo both tanks and not drop the tanks, as well as not spill fuel everywhere. But so far it's been not so bad. There's been bits of fuel come out here and there, but it's been a relatively smooth sailing job so far. All right, there we have it. Tank's removed. I did actually end up spilling quite a lot of petrol on the floor. Luckily, I got hard ground and nothing that's carpet is going to soak it up. But it lets me get to these like rocker boxes as well. Then they're like really kind of oxidized and stuff. So I'm going to give them a little clean and a polish now that I can reach like most of it. And then, yeah, obviously clean out the tanks and stuff. I'm going to use that little chemicals to kind of get inside, clean it. It's going to take a couple of days for that to kind of like soak in and go through. So I've got a couple of jobs lined out for a few days now. All right, so this is just from lifting one of the tanks upside down. All right, guys, so the tanks are all completely off now. I've just plugged up the little holes just with the vent feeds that go across, and they have a fuel line crossover feed. So now I'm just going to use this distilled white vinegar. Just pour that in, fill the rest up with water, and then leave it for like 24 to 48 hours. Just see if that gets rid of rust. I'm debating about just getting a new tank because just emptying the little inline fuel filter, there was so much rust that came out of it. It just makes me worried about putting them back on and then it just blocking the carb. Or even some of the tanks, you know, in places you can see the rust on the outside under the paint where the paint's chipped up. So just worried that they might end up like just burning through after I've cleaned them. But maybe I'll give them a go and give them a little pressure test after I've filled them up. But wish me luck, guys. I'm just driving out to Bardwell now. There's a company called Toplink Agricultural, which my friend Jay Ransom from Heron Cycles recommended to me. I'm just going to go there and pick up some 1/4 inch fuel line, hopefully some clamps, and then I'll get a jerry can of petrol. Hopefully I can do this today. Crazy Horse doesn't open until Tuesday and it's Monday today, so just trying to see how much I can kind of get done. But yeah, fingers crossed I can get everything. Alright, so today's Tuesday. Just going to give you guys a little update of what I got up to yesterday. As I took everything apart, the frame had a little bit of surface rust on it. So I've just kind of sanded that down, giving it a little spray over. Just because the seat's going to sit over that, so it's probably going to gather a little bit of water there, and I want to kind of make sure the frame doesn't get rusty and corroded and stuff in there. The tanks are still down here on a soak. They're going to get emptied later on today. I'm actually at work tomorrow, so I'm starting to run out of time a little bit, but hopefully we can get all this back together. I took this Pingle inline air filter apart. It's got this fuel filter, sorry, not air filter. It's got this little filter inside it. It's like a little top hat thimble type thing, and that was literally to the brim full of rust and stuff. I do feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle here with the rust on this, and underneath the tanks I've found a lot of surface rust underneath the paint, so I'm gonna have to sand that down and give it a little spray. But I'm hoping by the time I empty these tanks out of the solution, it would get rid of most of the rust and I can just run it as it is, because I do actually want to ride this bike a little bit before you know, taking it all apart and doing like a proper custom job on it. I just want to ride it for a while first, but it does seem like it's challenging me a little bit. It's, you know, it's pushing back a lot, but I was going to paint the tanks today, but it's slightly moist outside, and it's just been raining this morning a little bit, so I don't want to do any paint when there's a lot of moisture in the air. So I'm gonna take you guys on a little ride up to El Lobo in Copdock, right near Ipswich. They're amazing bike builders and good couple of friends there. I'm just going to pick up a few parts from them, and hopefully they'll let me film in there and just show you guys some bits. But see you guys in a bit. All right, just back from El Lobo now. This is what I bought. It's an oil filter bracket. So when I eventually put a horseshoe oil tank in the shovel head, this just like sits at the bottom of the crankcase, and then you just put an oil filter straight onto that, and it eliminates one or two of the oil lines on there. Just makes everything look a little bit neater, and you can put like a more modern Sportster oil filter on there. Now I'm just going to empty this tanks because they've been sitting in that solution for about 48 hours now. Hopefully it gets most of the rust out there, but we'll see. I'll try and capture as much of it as I can. All right, now to fill with bicarb of soda and then just top it on up with water now. Hopefully that should neutralise all the acid in there. And finally, tank number 2. Alright, that one was definitely the worst one. As you can see, I put some like nuts and washers in there just to kind of move the rust around as well. But I'll show you the kitchen roll. This one was definitely the worst one. Alright, so all the solution's out of the tanks now. It hasn't cleaned out all of it, but it's cleaned out the big chunks. One side actually looks a lot better than the other. I think it's because that crossover tube was kind of blocked full of rust. So one side was just sitting a little bit like prettier than the other one. I also took the petcock out, and the filter inside that was just literally full to the brim of rust. And as I removed it, you can still see a lot of rust inside here. Let's see if I can get a big angle, but it's also split. Yeah, if you can see that well, it's split and just full of rust. So I'm going to have to get a new filter for that petcock, so I just don't want to put that back on because I'll get more rust straight through there. I think I'm just going to run these tanks for a little bit. Hopefully don't get any issues with it. But, you know, if I do, then I'll just have to kind of redo everything on the bike again. But we'll see how we get on. I'll have to do a little trip to Crazy Horse now. All right, everyone, so I ended up going to Crazy Horse. They've had to order me in a petcock, so that kind of screws up my whole week of filming the rest of this video. It's kind of a good thing in the long run because I'm still waiting for the tanks to dry with paint. You know, the weather's been really cold here and a little bit damp. I still need to do a coat of clear gloss over that. So it's kind of worked out pretty good timing, to be honest, but obviously that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I did go to Crazy Horse and picked up a big box of goodies, but you're gonna have to tune in next week to see what I got. But I hope you've enjoyed my struggle this week, and if you guys tune into the next one, it'd be great to see you all. Please like and subscribe, it really helps my channel. I'm nearly at 500 subs now, which is great news for me. But see you guys on the next one. Peace.